Thank you. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Biden administration may go down in history as the most brazen constitutional fraud in American history. A Potemkin presidency fronted by a failing puppet with staffers behind the scenes pulling the strings. This is not political hyperbole. The American people saw it with their own eyes during the June 2024 debate. Numerous times, Biden stood frozen behind the podium, mouth agape, eyes frozen and unblinking. When he did speak, his words were confused and disjointed. I said that night, this is the most consequential presidential debate in history because it will result in one of the two candidates being removed from the ballot. That was exactly right. And following that debate, the Democrats recognized the collapse. They pulled out their knives and took out President Biden like Caesar on the Ides of March. For all of their strutting about, protesting that they support democracy, not a one of them gave a damn about democracy when they pulled Biden off the ballot and dropped Kamala Harris in without a single Democrat primary voter voting for him. And you know what? Not a single Democrat is here today because not a single one of them gives a damn about the fact that they lied to the American people for 4 years.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm American Interest, your go-to for grounded, thoughtful, and balanced political analysis. If you're tired of spin and looking for perspective, not just partisanship, you're in the right place. Today's video is a reaction and analysis to a speech that's been circulating widely on political feeds across the country. It's from Senator Ted Cruz, and as you might expect, it was passionate, sharp, and pointed, calling the Biden administration, quote, the most brazen constitutional fraud in American history. That's a bold claim. And today I want to break it down not from a partisan angle, but from the perspective of someone who takes democracy, constitutional law, and media accountability seriously. We're going to unpack the arguments made, provide context, and then I'll give you my own analysis what parts one think are valid concerns, what's overreach, and what the public should really be thinking about moving forward.
They knew, every one of them knew, that Joe Biden was mentally not competent to do the job. The White House press secretary, she knew when she stood in front of the American people and lied over and over and over again, and they're not here because they can't defend themselves. It wasn't a surprise. For 4 years, the White House hid President Biden from Republican senators, would not let him meet with us. He served 40 years in this body. We all know him. And they deliberately lied. And by the way, Jake Tapper had a bombshell book exposing the incredible scandal that Biden's mental decline was covered up by Jake Tapper. There's a Yiddish word, chutzpah, and that truly is chutzpah. How dare we lie and cover up what we all knew? Now, I have been asked literally 1,000 times by Texans, who was running the country? And I'm going to give you the most terrifying answer. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And not a single Democrat here cares. The most telling proof of Biden's decline came with the signature of the president, the symbol of executive authority that was outsourced to a machine. Mr. Wold, you're a lawyer who served in the White House counsel's office. You understand the gravity of presidential action. Does the president's signature carry legal and constitutional weight under Article 2?
Yes.
Is the act of signing an executive order or signing a law or granting a pardon a delegable duty of the president?
So in that opinion in 2005 from OLC, they said essentially that an Autopen could be used by a subordinate, but the president's determination as to sign the document can never be delegated.
Can that authority be transferred to a staffer or a machine without the president's explicit authorization?
Never.
And if you look at the statistics are stunning. In 2021, President Biden issued 78 executive orders. None were signed with an Autopen. That first year of the presidency, Biden, I suppose, was relatively lucid and 78 executive orders he signed by hand. The second year, however, we see the Autopen emerge. The first Autopen executive order was issued on July 15th, 2022. After that day, 100% of the executive orders issued in 2022 were signed by an Autopen. In 2023, Biden issued 24 executive orders. 16 were Autopenned. In 2024, Biden issued 19. 14 were Autopenned. In 2025, Biden issued 14 executive orders. Every single one was Autopenned. Mr. Wald, let me ask you as a legal matter, if there's a law that's passed both houses of Congress and it goes to the White House, and a staffer autopens signing that law without the president's authorization, is that law legally passed and signed into law?
No.
If an executive order is issued and a staffer autopens it without the president's authorization, is that executive order legally binding?
No.
And if a pardon is issued from the President of the United States and a staffer autopens it without the president's authorization, is that pardon legally binding?
No.
Under the Biden White House, the ceremonial song, Hail to the Chief, was effectively replaced with Hail to the Pen. And it was an outright assault on democracy. And every reporter covering this ought to ask, why doesn't a Democrat care? We heard about the moral responsibilities of a staffer. How about an elected senator who knows damn well that if we get into a war and Iran is preparing to fire a nuclear weapon at the United States, that the commander-in-chief is busy playing with his Jell-O and is not competent to defend ourselves? And every member of the cabinet, the chief of staff, the press secretary, and the members of Congress who lied about this on a daily basis with the press's complicity, they are all responsible for subverting democracy.
Senator Cornyn.
Let's get into it. First, let's summarize the key points that Senator Cruz raised in his speech. 1. Accusations of fraud. Cruz argues that the Biden presidency is essentially a sham, controlled by unelected staff behind the scenes. 2. The June 2024 debate incident. He points to Biden's performance during that debate as proof of the president's alleged cognitive decline. 3. Democratic leadership's actions. He claims Democrats took out Biden after that debate, installing Vice President Kamala Harris without a primary, betraying Democratic principles. 4. Media complicity. Cruz accuses the press, specifically Jake Tapper, of covering up Biden's mental decline. 5. Use of the Autopen. A major part of the argument revolves around Biden increasingly using an Autopen to sign executive orders, implying he wasn't mentally capable of fulfilling his duties. 6. Constitutional implications. He questions whether executive actions signed by Autopen are even legally valid if not directly authorized by the president. 7. National security concerns. Cruz warns of what could happen if America faces a major threat while, in his words, the commander-in-chief is playing with his Jell-O. That's the argument laid out. Strong words. So how should we, as serious thinkers, react to this? Let's be fair. There are legitimate issues raised here, issues that deserve serious debate regardless of who's in office or what party they belong to. First, transparency matters. It doesn't matter whether the president is Republican or Democrat if there are genuine concerns about a leader's mental or physical ability to perform the duties of office. The public deserves transparency. There's already historical precedent for this. Franklin D. Roosevelt concealed much of his illness, and even President Woodrow Wilson's incapacitation was hidden by his wife and aides for months. That wasn't right then, and it wouldn't be right now. Second, the use of an Autopen isn't inherently sinister, but it does raise good constitutional questions. There are Office of Legal Counsel opinions allowing for Autopens when the president has explicitly authorized their use. However, Cruz is correct that authorization is key. If staff are signing documents without that authorization, that would be a major problem. And as for the national security argument, sure, that's a real concern too. The president is a commander-in-chief. If he were genuinely incapacitated, there are mechanisms under the 25th Amendment to address that, but they rely on honesty and integrity from both the cabinet and Congress. Now let's be balanced. While those points are fair to raise, we also need to separate fact from rhetoric. Is there proof that Biden was completely incapacitated throughout his presidency? No, not definitively. Clips from debates are not the same as a formal medical diagnosis. I watched that debate too. It was uncomfortable, yes. But discomfort doesn't automatically equal incapacity. We need to hold our leaders accountable. But accusations of puppet presidencies require more than dramatic speeches to be credible. As for the Democrats removing Biden from the ballot, yes. The idea of swapping candidates mid-cycle feels undemocratic. But political parties are private organizations. They can choose their nominees however they want. Is it politically risky? Absolutely. Should voters be upset? Sure, that's their right. But it's not technically unconstitutional. The better question is, will voters reward or punish that maneuver in November? And regarding Jake Tapper's book, I'll reserve judgment until I read it myself. But let's not pretend this kind of inside media politics drama is exclusive to one side. Both parties have seen sympathetic coverage or critical coverage, depending on the media outlet. Here's the bigger question I want to pose to you, my audience. Do these issues point to one party's failure, or are they a symptom of larger structural weaknesses in how we run our elections, how transparent our leaders are, and how partisan loyalty often trumps honesty on both sides? We've seen Republicans criticize Biden's fitness, but we've also seen members of their own party remain silent on other fitness questions when it was politically inconvenient. This is not a problem with one man or one party. It's a problem with power itself. And the media nigh us, sometimes partisan, sometimes protective, sometimes adversarial. But remember, we are the media too. Social media, independent voices, citizen journalists, you have a voice now. Use it. Demand transparency from everyone, regardless of whether they wear a blue tie or a red one. So what's my take? Senator Cruz's speech affected political theater. His concerns about transparency valid. His framing of it as a constitutional apocalypse overstated. What matters most is that we as voters refuse to let anyone treat us like pawns. It's our democracy, whether you lean left, right, or independent. Hold everyone accountable. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you lost trust in presidential leadership? Or do you think this is just partisan mudslinging? Let's have a real conversation, not just shouting matches. If you found this breakdown useful, hit the like button, subscribe, and share with someone who wants perspective, not just outrage. I'm American Interest, and I'll see you in the next one.